It's another day. Shabbat has ended. Sunday, it starts in the evening, so I hope your Shabbat was restful. And some of us didn't really get to rest, but you know how it feels when you say, I'm running a marathon. And you get to the middle, you get to this wall. I don't know, have you run a marathon? Any of you are running a race like a 10K? I don't know if you have miles or feet or whatever. So you're running this race, you get to a wall, and then you suddenly got to take a deep breath. You have to drink some water, and you realize, I'm going to finish this marathon. I am not going to give up. And that's the same with us, but it's not by our strength. I know it's by the strength of the God of Israel. And oh God, help us. The missiles raining down on this country everywhere, including Jerusalem, as people are going to the Western Wall, as close as you can get to where the temple once stood, praying, having to run for cover. And even in Galilee, where my family is, 2 missile interceptions happened right over the Sea of Galilee. And the saddest, most tragic thing, the IDF accidentally shoots and kills 3 Israeli hostages, and they were waving white flags. It's so tragic in the Sajia neighborhood. 3 Israeli hostages managed somehow to escape, I guess, the Hamas captivity. And this all began when a soldier, he's stationed in a building, he's supposed to guard, right? That's what we do. And suddenly he sees all these suspicious figures a few meters away without shirts on. One had a makeshift white flag, but this soldier thought that they were trying to lure the IDF into a trap, and he said, terrorists, and everybody heard the word terrorists, and they jumped to protect themselves, and they all shot, and 2 of the people died. The third, who was hit and wounded, fled back into the building he came from, and then the commander of the battalion saw where the soldier, went in. He said, halt the fire. But then someone was shouting, help me, in Hebrew, and moments later a third man came out of the building and he also was shot. It's so tragic, heart-wrenching. And this whole thing of seeing people on a battlefield is so unusual. And the IDF doesn't really understand what led to this, how this happened. And in Sajia, it's certainly not usual to see people just walking around, and there's weapons, and there's traps, and it's such a dangerous scenario. But they say about 38 Hamas terrorists were neutralized, that were there just before. And there's even suicide bombers who came looking like an unarmed civilian. So it's a war. It's a war. These are the names of those loved ones who were snatched into the clutches of evil by these brute, barbaric, heathen, godless people, and now they are no more. Hostage Yotam Chaim, he was 28 years old. He was a drummer in a band. Samar Talika, age 22, from Hora, and he was working there in a chicken hatchery. Alon Shamriz, 26-year-old computer engineer student, abducted. And I just want to say it right away. This is Psalms 20, verse 7. Some trust in chariots. David said this. He had the mighty men. David had his mighty men, but some trust in chariots. This thing right here is called a chariot in Hebrew, Mirkava. It's a tank, but it has a nickname, chariot, Mirkava. We believe in the chariots of fire. We do believe and trust that because we're standing for what's right. Even though the world might be confused sometimes, and sometimes they say, why did you bomb a UN school? Well, because there was rocket launchers, terrorists, and terror tunnels, and terrorists in there. So it's no longer a school. It's not used for school anymore. The kids are gone to the south. We have to remove the terror of the enemy. And so it says some trust in chariots, some trust in horses, but we will remember the name of the Lord our God. I even know there's going to be a time, just saying it, I see that we're going to run that marathon. I see we're finishing it. We're going to finish strong. We're going to finish well. We're not going to die. We're going to live and proclaim the goodness of God. But there's going to come a time where the power of the holy people, that's the people of Israel, Book of Daniel, chapter 12, there's a mystery there. There's going to come a time where our power is going to be shattered, exhausted. And it says it in Daniel 12, verse 5. I, Daniel, looked, and behold, there stood on two men, one on this side of the bank of the river and the other on that side of the bank of the river. And one said to the man in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, he's standing on the waters of the river, I think, how long will it be until to the end of these wonders? And I heard the man clothed in linen, who was upon the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand unto heaven, and he swore by him who lives forever, that it will be for a time, times and a half. Listen to this part. And when he shall have accomplished to scatter or exhaust the power of the holy people, all these things will be finished. So there's going to be a time where the power, that's the army, that's the tanks, that's the planes, there's going to come a time where God's going to just step and say, hey, you don't get that it's me protecting Israel? I'm literally going to end you people if you don't stop messing with Israel. You're going to see angels. You're not going to want to see them because they're going to be angry at these nations who come against Israel. And I just think it's important to remember it's not by might nor by power, but it's by the Spirit. And this is there's promises over this land, and it's beautiful. And we're going to stand and see the glory. And yeah, there's going to be another temple built. Yeah, there's things going to happen. But right now, we just got to say, let's finish this. I know I know that the United Nations, I know people are saying they don't want us to finish this race, but we don't want terror to return. We want to finish this, and I think we should. It's a good idea. If you had terror still needing to finish the job, that you would need to do that if it was next to your house. So that's just what I want to say, is not by might nor by power, but by my Spirit. And one day, people are going to really know that Jacob's trouble, it's really going to end nations that come against Israel. It says we will be saved out of it, but there's nations that are going to be ended. Read it again. Read it again what Jacob's trouble is all about. And I want to say, be strong. Stand for what's right. Stand with Israel. Stand for the Bible. Stand for destiny. And pray. Join us on altarofprayer.com right now. Tell your friends.